Step Another Mat Podcast, episode 019 with me, Aaron Martinez. My guest today is a very special one to me, one of the assistant coaches at Norwalk High School, Mr. Eric Thompson. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Hey, thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Well, we're here.
Yeah.
We said we were going to do it. We're here. So what's been going on? What's going on this week? What's going on? What's been going on with you in your life?
Yeah, this week's been kind of challenging. We've had a lot of snow, so we've had not a lot of opportunities for our kids to get in the room. So we're right in the middle of wrestling season. Had a pretty good first half of the year. Been working hard. A lot of good potential with some kids. We got a lot of shifting weight going on with some kids.
Yeah.
But it's really just the focus of making them better every day. And it's been tough these last 2 days. We haven't really had a chance to do that. Today we got to have a practice. So it's been good to get back in the room and see the guys again.
Yeah, I see you got a shiner.
Yeah. Yep.
Courtesy of who?
Oh, Tyler.
Well, Tyler always bumping people up.
Yeah.
He got a side up today. He got me yesterday.
Yep.
So that's all right. What
Yep.
goes around comes around, Tyler.
That's right. Eye for an eye, bud.
You know, like I'm sitting there, we were talking about the documentary.
Yeah.
And like I have many shots of you and Tyler like working together and drilling together.
Yep.
And one of the things that's funny about that to me is that almost every shot I have you guys working, you always get nailed. It's either you get like chin bumped, you get the chin bump, right, from a forehead or a headbutt. Yeah, multiple shots. You'll see it in the documentary. How many, and we should do like a contest to see who can count.
Just a counter going
how many
off.
times
Yep.
Thompson gets nailed by Harper.
Yeah, I have. It's multiple black eyes.
Yeah.
Over the years, it's been multiple black eyes. And my wife always asks, who'd you get hit by today? And I don't even know why she asks anymore. So, well, Tyler. Yeah, Tyler hit me in the eye. And it starts out as a little thing, and then it turns into a big black eye. But it's just working hard, man. I mean, he's fun to wrestle. He's quick, fast. He's getting a lot stronger now. He's a senior, you know, so it's a lot of fun. I like to get in there and scrap. I feel like that's part of the way I like to coach the most. Walking around and talking and showing some technique and stuff is all right. I like doing that, but getting your hands on, and that's the thing I think I love about coaching wrestling a lot is
Same.
I can hands-on teach somebody how to do something. And some of these moves are feel moves, right? You have to feel the resistance or feel the pressure. And if he moves this way or that way, then this is the counter and how you move. So
How much time do you get for that? For like, if you're not just working with one partner, how often are you getting to like work around the room to like really fix those guys that need that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Like I said, I feel like that's one of the ways that I do it the most is pick a partner and do that for a day. So, back when Keaton Moret was in high school, him and I would go 2-3 times a week. We'd wrestle. But I also feel it's good for those guys to get other feels, other partners, because I do things a certain way. And so they need other partners to feel that the way. So I know if I can do maybe not as much drilling, but if we do some live goes or some, longer goes, doing a 20-minute go or whatever it might be, working with a partner and then kind of stopping them at certain points. Like, hey, from this point, keep moving this way or put your leg over here, do this. I feel like to me, I feel it's beneficial. I think sometimes the light bulbs click for some kids when you're telling them to drill it one way.
Sure.
You could say, leg here, arm here. But when you actually put it on them and show them how it feels to have it done to them or when they do it the right way or feel when it's resistance, because, they're high school kids. Sometimes they don't drill right.
And sometimes they're not feeling it right either, right?
Yeah. They're not whizzing hard or they're not stuffing ahead.
Right. And sometimes if you're not whizzing hard too, your partner doesn't get the right feel from it because you're not giving them enough pressure.
Exactly. And then they get out on a mat and it doesn't work in a match and they're thinking, well, why not? Well, they gave you the right feel.
Yeah. It's super deep.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen through an explanation or reading a book.
Nope.
You got to get in there and play with it a little bit.
Yeah, we got all these videos and all of this stuff on the internet now. Kids can watch that, but it's something else to do it and drill it live.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell people that with jiu-jitsu too. It's like I'll see somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have an algorithm. We see, we have feeds. You're going to see the same thing I see, right? And I'll see somebody in the gym come in and like, they'll be trying something, right? And I'll be like, another YouTuber out there tonight, right? And then, but it does, and I'll be like, no, go, let's do it, roll that, try it, get after it.
Yep.
But they'll see that there's some fails in there too, because not because the technique's bad, it's just they haven't felt it yet, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting. I get that same thing. So Keaton, Aiden, Moret, Tyler Harper, they will all like we'll send stuff back and forth. Hey, check this thing out from a reel on Instagram or whatever. It's like that might actually work. Like let's try that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, and it doesn't always go together until you're playing with it live, right?
Yep.
Because your buddy can fall down for you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah, I love those kids. Speaking of like some sharing things, is like Matt Jensen shared that picture today. Did you see it?
Yep.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was what was that?
I mean, we
8
look the
years ago?
same.
I know. Yeah.
You know what
we're
I'm saying?
still
We look
young-
the same.
young and good. Yeah.
But the kids, man, they just look. Even Brock
Yeah.
Jensen. I was like, is that Brock sitting
I
there?
know.
He just looks tiny.
These kids are first grade, second grade kids, and now they're juniors, seniors in high school. Some graduated in college now.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think we've been doing that.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I think that was with the Ankeny. That was the Ankeny.
Ankeny or Bondurant.
Yeah,
I think it was a
one of
dual
those two.
tournament. Yeah.
I was rocking that purple shirt.
Yeah. You're the only one out of
I was the man. I was the man in the middle.
Yeah. You had to dress up, make the rest of us look bad.
I think that's what you told me back then too.
I think I still feel the same way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys who do you guys got tomorrow? Is that going to happen with the snow and all that
It's
stuff?
Still scheduled
Which
to
is Jake
happen, yeah.
Hodges' fault, by the way.
Oh, all the
when we
snow.
were he came on 2 days ago on the show, and I told him, he started bringing up snow. I was like, hey, let me teach you some Iowa rules here. If you bring it up and it snows, it's your fault.
Uh-huh.
And he came to the gym the other day. I was like, remember you said that?
Uh-huh.
It happened the very next day.
Yep.
So
Darn it, Jake.
his fault.
Yep. So yeah, we got Hawkeyes Northwest and Urbandale tomorrow at Urbandale. So we'll get a lot of JV matches in there. Get those guys some good scraps. We'll scrap it up with Hawkeyes Northwest first, and then end the night with Urbandale. And I'm hoping it all goes through. I don't think we're supposed to get any of that white stuff until later in the day.
Good.
So hopefully we can get it all in and get back home, and we'll see what Friday brings. So
Yeah. What's Hawkeyes Northwest? Are 5? Are they ranked
they're
5?
up there 5-6.
5,
Yep.
6.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it'll be a good duel.
I think we're 14.
Yep.
Norwalk's 14.
Norwalk's 14 right now. I think we feel like we match up well with them. We got some guys. It's just got to put it all together. So
Yeah.
I think as a full team, I don't think we've hit on all cylinders as a full team yet.
True that.
We have some, like I said, we have some guys moving in some weights. We have a bunch of guys moved down from some of the upper weights. We got some young guys. We got freshmen at 175 now. He was at 190. So we got some first-year varsity guys that have been on JV and working their way into the lineup. And then we got some established guys that what they have, and they can go with about anybody in the state. So just putting it all together as a team it just hasn't – I don't think we've done it yet this year, but I'm excited for the potential to do it.
Yeah. How's the chemistry in the room going?
I think it's good. We have a good group of leaders. That junior class of ours is big.
Yeah, it is.
You got guys like Dominic Tigner is a pretty vocal leader. You got Colton Borcherding Johnson, another leader in the group. Tyler Harper, of course, as a little bit quieter, but definitely leads by example.
His presence is there too.
For sure. And just the way he does things, right? It rubs off on kids. And so that's what's important, I think, is leading by action. And you can see guys that are paying attention and following in his footsteps and doing the right thing. So when it's optional practice yesterday, they're showing up because Tyler said it's optional practice, which doesn't make it optional.
Yeah, and one of the reflections from from editing the documentary, working on it, that has been repeated is that he is the first one and last one to leave. That's not a lie.
No.
And consistency is what we look for in good people, right?
Yeah.
And that's consistent. Like I've seen that. I've gotten to see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yep. He's usually always early. I think it helps he doesn't have a 9th hour class, but that doesn't mean he doesn't go home and relax for 30 minutes. He's getting prepped. He's getting his mind right. He's getting in there. And today I was walking out after I got done, showered up, and he was just coming out of the room, spending an extra 10 minutes on the bike or 15 minutes on the bike just to get right.
Yeah. Man, we've already been rolling here.
Yeah.
Tell me about introduce everybody to kind of your history with wrestling and kind of how you got into it.
Yeah. I started probably like a lot of kids did, just the youth club. So Norwalk Wrestling Club. When I was
Norwalk had a team back then.
Oh yeah, we had a youth club
Like
way back.
Abraham Lincoln was out there with
you. Yeah, not quite that long ago, but it would have been in 86, 87, I think. Would have been probably about the first years I would have been doing it. I should have thought about bringing my old singlet. I had it pulled out, but maybe I'll have to send you a picture of it.
Yeah,
Here,
please do.
I have an old singlet with the old Norwalk Wrestling Club patches.
I need to get
right on the legs.
I need to get a Norwalk singlet in here.
Well, this one's old. It's tiny too.
Yeah.
So it's so that was when I started. I have a twin brother, Ryan Thompson. So him and I were both in it, and we had a good group. It reminds me of this junior class because when we graduated, we had, I think there was 11 of us that wrestled. I think 9 on varsity, 2 on JV, but we were kids that had wrestled from little kids all the way through high school, and so I had a lot of great coaches coming up. Marty Busmus was our little kid wrestling club coach, and so when I'm in there now helping out with the little kids, because my son now wrestles and he's in that very beginner group as a kindergartner, I still think back to some of the stuff that he did that I liked to, some of the stuff Marty Busmus did, different stretches and just making motorcycle sounds and just other things that he did to make it fun that I remember doing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So a lot of neat things from there. Old man McLaughlin was helping out quite a bit at that time with the youth club, and he was the guy that started Norwalk Wrestling. He was also my principal as a kid. So I spent most of my time doing youth club. At that time, there wasn't specialty clubs, right? There wasn't High Altitudes or Moen or Pinnacle Jiu-Jitsu. Nothing in town for us to go to. So we did a lot just ourselves within the wrestling community at Norwalk. We did have a group of guys our junior, senior year. We did a lot of freestyle in the summer, but we made it a lot of fun. My high school coach, Tim Hill, he would just open the room for us in the summertime, and we'd get out there and drill and work on how to learn. We learned how to freestyle. He would demonstrate a couple moves, and we'd take that hour to practice it, but it was so hot in that dungeon.
I miss that room, man.
I know, man. It's tough.
I wish I could have filmed it before they built the new one.
I know, it'd have been sweet. We spent a lot of time down there, not just wrestling practices, but when Coach Hill took over, there was no safety floor, and it was all concrete and then old wrestling mats on top of the concrete. So he got some money through the school to make it to put in that safety floor. So we spent, my family, the Dunn family, I know I'm missing the Busmus family, Upchurches, like a bunch of families came together and helped Coach Hill put that floorboards in and then put in all the wall pads. So my brother and I, we like to talk about that. Like, man, we helped build that room.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was there for a long time, but we helped make it into the room that it ended up being. A lot of time, a lot of sweat.
Man, Eric, you've been in the Norwalk program for a long time.
Yeah.
I hope the community appreciates the stuff you've done. I got to see today. I was looking at Facebook, right? I was kind of scrolling through there, and I seen from my high school, Dustin Rowland, Mike McGivern, and Skeet. We call him Skeeter. They're going to be inducted in Hall of Fame. So hopefully that process comes your way because that's well deserved. I mean, it's history. You have history there.
I just appreciate being a part of the history, right?
Yeah.
And it's not until somebody says it or you think about it like, I have been around the wrestling program for a long time, but I just what I like to do, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love doing this. I love every year when the season ends, it's like, oh man, now we look forward to what's next. What are we going to do in the summer? What clubs are our kids going to go to? Are we going to have open rooms? How are we going to approach that? Get kids into freestyle and hopefully on to Fargo and but then get excited when season comes back around every year. And
yes, sir.
It's a nice cycle. I like doing it. Been doing it as coaching, I think now for, I think it's 15 or 16 years. Started coaching with Darren Schreck when he was the head coach at Norwalk, and just saw that guy last weekend at the youth club or our youth tournament at Norwalk here, and just love him, man. He's a good guy, and he's one of those guys you see him, you can't help but smile.
Yeah.
And he's just good person. He helps out and does whatever he can. So here he's the athletic director now for Carlisle, and he comes over here and coaches
Still kicks it
kindergarten and first graders, right? Like or referees for the kindergartners and first graders, and does a great job at it. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he reminds me of somebody else somewhere else.
Yeah.
Me and you were having a conversation in the old wrestling room. It sparked this memory up. You were talking about doing interviews with all the Norwalk coaches over history. Yeah, that would have been that room would have been the one. That would
have been the room to do it in. That'd
have been great. Yeah. But we'll make it work anyways.
We'll try to get that done anyways. Yeah. it's neat, the history of it. So I mentioned Shrek. I've mentioned Old Man McLaughlin. The only coach I wasn't ever around. Lonnie Henders was my coach when I was a freshman, and then he retired, and Tim Hill took over. Shannon McLaughlin took over a little bit there as well. I wasn't coaching when I wasn't in school, and it was right when I was in college and just graduated. But now we get the opportunity to coach with him. Now he's been helping out. His son Liam's on the team, so got to know him quite well this
kid.
year. Yeah, Liam and Shannon, it's good to know those guys. And if you talk about legacies of Norwalk wrestling, that McLaughlin family takes the cake, right? With old man starting it and those guys still in it. So
and more to come.
Yeah, exactly. More to come for those guys.
So you gave me a little bit of history, like getting into it, but who got you into it? Who introduced you to it? Your dad just throw you in the room?
I think, probably some flyer. I don't know. Somebody said, "Hey,
the
there's
flyer
wrestling."
got you too.
Yeah, the flyer. Yeah. You hear about these flyers, but that's how we used to do it back in the day. Right?
Yeah,
just paper on the wall and like, I'll go wrestle. And it was a small room. It was loud. 55 kids in there screaming and yelling, and just liked it.
Yeah,
enjoyed doing it. It was get some exercise out. I had a built-in partner. I got a twin brother, so him and I were always together and doing stuff together, so it just made sense.
Yeah, tell me about you and Ryan's connection, and I, it's one of my questions on here about being a twin. There's lots of good twins in wrestling history and other sports too, but tell me about your guys' connection and your relationship.
Yeah, I think we have a pretty close relationship. Wrestling certainly brings us together. He coaches as well on our high school staff, and so I don't know. We just wrestle. We've wrestled since we were little kids. I think it was natural when we were, even before in a wrestling club, we would just wrestle on the living room floor. We'd wrestle all the time. When we got to high school, we were both really undersized. We were 82, 88 pounds, little freshmen. And even as sophomores, we were both under 100 pounds. So, and when we were freshmen, there was 5 of us at 103 pounds.
Wow. Can't you get one now?
Yeah, exactly. Can't hardly get one. We got a couple guys in there, but just one. So it was interesting. The 5 of us and our coaches were like, man, we got 5 of the scrappiest 103 pounders. I wish we had a 98 pound weight class so we could throw another one in there. And then as a sophomore, it thinned out a little bit. There's 3 of us that were still under 103. And then our junior and senior year, we kind of spread out a little bit. And like I said, that class was big, and we only had 2 seniors. So it was much like this year in 1998, where we had a bunch of juniors that were just going to break into the lineup and a couple seniors that had been there and had been established. And so Ryan and I decided at the end of the first practice, instead of wrestling off for a spot, we would just decide whoever weighed more at the end of practice number 1 on junior year would go up to 112, and the other one would go down to 103. So Ryan ended up, I think he was a pound less at the end of practice. So he might not have drank as much water. I don't know. But he was a little bit smaller, so he went down and I went up, and we still worked out every day together, drilled every day together. We wrestle a few times, but sometimes those get heated in the room. So.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Talking about that, that's a hard thing, is like you have like fights in the room basically, and like then you got to like be in a relationship with that person as well.
Yeah.
I was talking to Saya about that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
One of my main training partner in high school was Todd Buckland, and he was a couple weight classes ahead of me, but it was fights. We fought, like we literally fought.
Yeah.
And we'd hit, the coaches had to separate us or tell us to calm down, or the drill's over with.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean? But like, we were our biggest fans for each other though too.
Yeah.
So you need that growth.
Yeah, for sure. I relate that to college. When people ask, some of my best friends from college are the guys that I wrestled with at the same weight class, 125, 133, and we even lived together. And coaches are, how do you guys do that? Or fans, people that don't know, how do you go to battle every day with somebody in the wrestling room and then go eat dinner?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just what we do. We know once you step out of that room, it's brotherhood.
Yeah.
But when you're in that room, you're fighting tooth and nail for everything.
Yeah.
Practice, matches in the practice. It's not just a match. It's you're trying to make each other better.
Yeah.
And sometimes that gets heated. So
yeah, and in my opinion, not every practice has to be like that, but you need those like simulations of a real go, right?
Oh yeah.
Injuries this year, any major injuries for anybody on the team?
Yeah, we had a couple actually during our public wrestle off, but other than that, we've been pretty good. So we had Charlie Wetzler broke his foot, kind of a freak thing on a takedown. A knee landed on a foot, and he shattered a bunch of bones there. So unfortunately, he was out for the year. And then Ben Madole dislocated a kneecap. That was a pretty rough one to watch too, because it was, again, during the wrestle off, kind of like friendly fire, right? You're going against your teammates, and so there's nothing ill will there, but he moved the wrong way, his knee hit the mat, and accidents happen.
Yeah, it sucked the energy out of the room that day.
Sure
I seen Brown's like, it's over with. Let's just go home.
Why are we doing this? Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun today.
I know.
I was hoping to see you and Keaton go at it again. That was the only reason why I came, to be honest with you. Asaya didn't have a match, so I was like, you don't have to go down. I was like, no, I'm gonna go watch Eric and Keaton get down.
We couldn't. I love the idea of doing the alumni meet. We just couldn't get any alumni to really commit this year. And so last year Keaton really wanted to do it and was like, come on, coach, will you wrestle me? Like, I was like, dude, I outweigh you by 30 pounds, but that's about the only way I'm going to beat him anyways, is outweigh him. So I really enjoyed that. And you talk about like cramping up in the first period, like it's hard. I wrestle pretty hard in the wrestling room, when I'm going against Tyler or whoever I'm wrestling with. I feel like I wrestle pretty hard in the room, but it's not until you get out on the mat and the whistle blows and you start laying hands on somebody that you're like, oh yeah, this is what it's about. I forgot. It's kind of a fight here. Always from whistle one till the end. And I like to give Keaton a lot of crap about that match because
that's why I was like, he's gonna try to run it back. He's got to try to run it back.
That's why I said I don't want to do it. I'm gonna end out on top. I'll be 1-0 against.
I like your Vegas odds there.
That's right.
Take the money and run, baby.
Most dominant 9-5 decision I've seen ever.
That's right. It was good though. I was super entertained. I was trying to get the Tyson Holyfield too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I definitely old man wrestled him. I was stalling on bottom in the third. I knew I had my lead. Everything I could do, not give up major points. So. Yeah,
and there's something to that too. Actually, I was talking to one of the parents at the last wrestling meet we had. And they were like, yeah, I know you guys kind of like go soft on these guys a little bit, and I was like, there is some truth. It's like there's like a level of control because of our experience too, right? That you like kind of give a little bit and take a little bit, and you're cautious of your weight and how much force you're using.
Yep.
I explain it to my students as like, it's like a 10 speed. You got 5 speeds on this side. This is your power, right? Your strength, right? Pressure. This side over here is your technique. For each person, I want you to turn those dials to control those things, so that way you can I should be able to roll the same way with you and be safe, so we're not hurting each other to get work in. The same way I could roll with like a 6-year-old. I can keep my technique super high, but I can bring my level of my weight and my pressure and my strength down. You know, so but it's hard to have that balance of like getting them ready to go into a fight that a kid's not going to care whether or not.
Yeah, I think of it like, you hear parents talk or dads talk about like, man, there was that one day when my son finally beat me in basketball in the driveway. He finally won that game. I didn't let him win. I think about that with some of the kids, and that's kind of been the story with Tyler, right? As a freshman, I had to dial it down, take the weight off. He was 95 pounds. You can't wrestle him hard. Now, I wish I had that bigger advantage now,
or use the cheat code. You're like, I let you have that one. Good. All right.
I don't win too many scraps when we go anymore. So he's definitely beating me in basketball today. So
Tyler, stop marking my boy up. He's got to go to work.
That's right. I have to go. I told him that the other day. It's like I have to go to work with this, right? This black guy. I have to explain to people that I work with. I have a black guy because a 113-pound kid hit.
They're like,
right? Yeah.
Speaking of that, you keep a young appearance, like you're fit. What do you try to stay especially during wrestling season, on some sort of diet or controlling how you eat? Or
I probably am a little bit more conscious about what I eat. We cook a lot of meals at home, so we're not, eating out or doing any fast food as often. Still have to cheat every once in a while, but I try to maintain a healthy diet, especially during off-season stuff is where I try to have more focus on what I do. So I'll fast. After dinner, I won't eat anything. I won't have popcorn at night or snacks until maybe like lunch the next day. So just less calorie intake helps maybe keep some weight off that I'm naturally going to gain now that I'm over 40. So I try to work out quite a bit or at least during the school or during the work week. I'm lucky that my work is flexible. We have a gym at work. I have a sauna. I like to spend some hours in the sauna.
Same.
Do some running before work if I can get into office early. And
how's your body holding up?
Not great, man. Not great.
I appreciate your honesty.
Slipped on some ice on the way over. My knees tweaked. I don't know. It's tough, but I don't know. I'll probably get some stuff looked at here, but I don't know. Same aches and pains all of us have, I'm sure, with a bad knee and a bad ankle. When the weather blows in, it all hurts.
Yeah. Oh, I remember a time I got hurt in the wrestling room. I was wrestling with Major.
Oh.
Me and Major was scrapping, and I dropped down and hit a double leg, and he just dropped all of his weight on me. Every ounce on his body came down, and I was like, my feet were planted underneath me, both of them.
Yeah.
And it snapped like the bottom of my foot, and my foot was like, it blew up like a watermelon. I'll never forget that. I was like, I'm not wrestling Major for a while. I'm going to have to get this foot better. I'm coming back for him.
He didn't turn down the dial, did he? No,
it was, and like this is that we were talking about earlier. Like, how much do you give, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Major knows he outweighs me, right?
Yeah.
But it happens with guys when I go with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when I'm going light, sometimes when people tack my legs or they shoot, like the sprawl just goes. Like I can't control it for some reason. It's like a built-in reflex that I have, and it's just like crunch, and then someone gets their face knocked on the ground or their shoulder goes out. Keaton.
Yep.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Just a reaction. You got to do it.
Yeah. So your dad probably signed you up. You got the flyer.
Yeah.
You went through high school, had some successes there. Tell me about your college pathway.
Yeah. So we had a couple colleges come and talk to us. Coach Peterson down from Simpson came up, talked to Ryan and I. Got a letter from Upper Iowa. I was really interested in TV and radio production.
Cool.
And so
you're on here now.
I know. Here I am. I went up to Wartburg College for telecommunications camp over the summer to see what that was about and what kind of facilities they had. And I really liked it. And I knew they had a wrestling program. So I suppose I kind of walked on. I don't know if Coach Miller knew anything about me. Just kind of walked in there day one and said, I want to wrestle. And I was on the wrestling team. So
that's awesome.
But like I said, I met a bunch of great guys. Some of my best friends today, Heath Ropp, Joe Havig, Brian Frost. These are guys that we scrapped with every day. Went to war with these guys. Just battled every day, and then put in the time. I never really had a lot of varsity time. I think I traveled with the team once and took a forfeit as a 125 pounder because it wasn't tough for me to get to 125. Some of our varsity level guys, Zach Wieglein, it was a tough cut for him. So I did what the team needed, right? And went and weighed in and took a forfeit. And so that was probably my varsity glory. Did wrestled a lot of opens, and as a D3 wrestler, they can take multiple teams. We'd go to different tournaments like the Simpson tournaments and Central tournaments, a lot of the old Iowa Conference, and just had a lot of fun, worked hard, a lot of good friends from Wartburg College, and made a lot of relationships. Coach Keller, that's up there now, he was kind of my coach when I was going through Wartburg. He was an assistant coach.
Keller?
Coach Eric Keller, yeah.
Mr. Eric Keller. I got history with that guy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You have to get him on the podcast.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get Matt Young on here, too. I want those two guys are on the same team.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. In college, we ended up, as a class, our team won nationals in 2003. It was a lot of fun over in Ohio. And a couple of my, like I said, one of my best friends from college, Heath Ropp, was a national champion. And Zach Wieglein was a varsity guy ahead of me for a couple of years. He was a 3-time national champ at Wartburg. Ozzie Saxon was above me and at 133, and he was a runner-up that year. So it was a pretty big deal to be on the varsity team at Wartburg. You had some pretty high expectations and had some pretty good success.
And where'd your brother go?
He was a Luther up in Decorah, so rivals actually.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
That would have been a great documentary.
Yeah,
right?
that would have been a good one too. Yeah, yeah. It was a lot of fun because they're only about an hour apart, the two schools. So I spent time up there at Luther and got to know some of his buddies and the guys on his team. And he came down to Wartburg and got to know my friends. And so it was really neat to have that experience of not just Wartburg wrestling and what we have, but the brotherhood that Luther wrestling has as well. It's the same almost everywhere you go. I would like to think that brotherhood is a brotherhood, and going up there and getting to know some of those guys. Like if I saw one of his buddies at the Indianola Youth Wrestling Tournament before Christmas, Zach Aldetta, and it was a guy that wrestled at Luther, rival schools. He was I believe an All-American, Division III All-American, and ran into him, and it was like running into one of your old friends. And and it really is. He's an old buddy of ours. He still goes hunting down on my parents' land, and it was good to see him, and it's just nice to have that another level or another extension of that wrestling community.
Yeah. And you're into hunting?
I like to hunt. I don't get to do it very often, but yeah, turkey hunting is fun. I don't know. I like deer hunting. Just it's right in the middle of wrestling season. Don't ever have a lot of time, and the time that I get away from wrestling, my wife Wendy and my kids Briley and Braden would like to have me around. I think so. If I tell them, hey, I got this free Saturday, so I'm going to go down there and go hunting,
do the eye roll on you?
They might have a few questions for me.
Yeah. How'd you meet your wife?
We met through some mutual friends. A friend of hers was dating a buddy of mine, and so just out on the town.
She a Norwalkian too?
No, she's actually from Albia,
Albia.
Melrose, Iowa, but went to Albia High School and went to Simpson.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
And how old are your kids?
Briley is 10. She's a 5th grader, and Braden is a kindergartner, and he's 6.
He goes by Beans?
He gets called Beans, yeah.
Where'd Beans come from?
So
I'm all about nicknames. Every kid in my school has a nickname.
Yeah.
Well, tribe names.
Beans is his name. Coach Brown gave him that name. So it was the COVID year after wrestling season. I don't know. We might have to edit this out. I don't know. But we couldn't have a banquet, right? So luckily, one of our good friends, Duncan, has a large Morton building and said, anybody that wants to come out here and have a wrestling banquet, come on out. Like,
that's cool.
Optional. You don't have to come, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a wrestling banquet out here. So during the banquet, all the coaches decided we were going to smoke some pulled pork. So we spent all day out there at Duncan's house, and we had a can of beans, and Braden poured the beans in there, and Brown started calling them Beans.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know why. He just started calling them Beans, and he's like, I'm not Beans, you're Beans. And so he's like, gosh, he'd have been 3 or 4 at the time. So yeah, it stuck, man. It's funny because Brandon Schmitz is my son's godfather, and so every time we go in there, Beans is running over there to Schmitty and giving him a big old hug, and he'll say Beans, and then Brandon's like, you don't know how many kids I have in my class. I go, what is his actual name? What is Beans' actual name? They know him as Beans. Like high school kids, I have no idea who they are. Yeah. No, my son has Beans. That's his name.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll stick for his entire career.
I think it's going to stick, man.
Sticking now.
Because the older kids are calling it to him. Now it's cool, It'll at some point it's going to turn over. That's a cool name to have.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Brown's pretty good. Who gave Asaya his Zay? Who gave him that? Was that Brown too?
I don't know. It must be.
I think it was Brown.
Brown refers to him as Zay.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
And then somebody added the other Zay to it.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even know. It doesn't even sound like my name. I don't. I was like, nobody can say your name, bro. Not even your announcer at your own school can't say your name.
That's right.
I'm like, how can't you say Martinez? Now, when I was in high school, they used to do I don't know if they do it at Norwalk or not, but when I was in high school, they would give like the announcements. They'd be like, all right, so-and-so scored a touchdown today, or so-and-so got a pin today, right? Mm-hmm. And they'd always jack my name up, and everybody in the class would just erupt. They was like, because I'm a clown, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm the king of the clowns, right?
Yeah.
And that'd be their one shot. They'd be like, Martinez.
Martinez.
Like, how can't you say the most common Mexican name out there?
I didn't know Martinez was a hard one to say.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody kills it, though.
Yeah.
Everybody kills it.
Hmm.
Hey, I want to give you a gift real quick, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah. I'd love a gift.
There it is.
All right.
I'm full of gifts.
Yeah. Ooh, look at that.
So yeah, courtesy of Tony at I Wrestle
Nice.
and myself. I got you a shirt in there, and then from Eka Nutrition, I got you some supplements.
Do you have what it takes? Do you have what it takes to be a champion? We did nutrition the old way. We take nutrition to the next level. We have what it takes at Eka Nutrition.
Let's talk about the documentary.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Obviously, it's been sitting under my mind and my eyes for the last year.
Yeah.
Hence the title, Tide 365, about Tyler Harper from Norwalk, and his journey on a 365-day course from the last time he was at the state finals until this year. We're going to see what happens. What's been your experience so far as like remembering the first day you heard about that I was going to do this project and to where it's at now?
Yeah. I think the first day I heard about it was, it might have been the morning of the state finals last
Because
year.
that's how I work.
Yeah. I remember getting ready, warming up and getting ready to work out and seeing Martinez walking around with the camera. I think I even asked Ryan or Brown, like, what's Martinez doing? Like, I think it's cool. Like, I'm not worried about it, but like, is he just down here to film everything, or is he following us around, like, for real? And he's like, oh, he's doing a documentary on Ty. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So that's cool. So I didn't know what to think at first. I just thought that's great. What an opportunity for Tyler to have some exposure like this. And I think it's a great idea. He's a good kid. So, but being a part of it, it's been fun. It's been fun to watch and watch a lot of the videos you've been putting together, you know, stepping on the mat with coming up with us for the different tournaments, going up to Cedar Falls for the Keith Young, going to Battle Waterloo, watching all that film, and those are cool. I think the documentary, I'm excited to see it. I've seen little bits and pieces of, 10-second or 15-second blurbs. So actually seeing the documentary will be pretty awesome. I hope you do it. I know you want to do it, right? Like get like a showing or a viewing at a theater type thing. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
But it's been great. I think you picked a good kid to do it. Knowing Tyler since he was, since you talk about the picture of the little kids, right? Tyler's in that picture. He's a first grader, 10 years ago or whatever it was. And so I've known him since then. Like, you're asked about my coaching career, and, I coached with Shrek for a while, and then I stepped down and did some of the little kids stuff, started running the little kids program and doing those with you and Major and Duncan and Dustin Harper. And that first year I did it we went up to Super Pee Wee State, and Tyler was, I believe, a kindergartner, and Trent was a second grader.
Yeah.
So that was the very first part of, getting to.
Didn't he win it that year?
I don't remember if any of our guys won. I don't think he did, because I think Jake McKenzie was in the finals. I don't think Tyler won it.
I ran into the McKenzies at over at where was I at? Shields, I think.
Actually,
they're like, they're like, we're gonna come back. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, who else is gonna yell in the crowd? I need you to yell. I'm not yelling this year.
Exactly.
I'm taking a year off, but I need you here to yell.
We
right?
need the McKenzie's back.
Yeah. They're pretty vocal.
Distinct voices.
Yep.
So the documentary's good, man. I'm excited for it, and it's been fun. I did the interview in the wrestling room, listening to Jake Brown do his interview. It's good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's crazy looking back. We're obviously we get a little older. We get one more wrinkle, we lose one less hair, right? But like to see when I first did your interview, which was like probably was it like 2 weeks after state, after the finals, yeah. So pretty fresh to that, and you really didn't have any eyes on what I was doing. It's just like quick in and out. You were pretty focused on what you were doing, but then all of a sudden you're in an interview room with me doing it, right? And like when I interviewed Tyler, I've watched it over the course of this year, you know, and like being a filmmaker is pretty easy to me. Like I'm creative. I don't have problems coming up with ideas, right? Mm-hmm. But interviewing and doing a documentary on an athlete is required me to go into a different way that I filmed, the way that I do things, because I can't like it requires him to be focused, right? And there's also just people have different like comfort levels, right? And so like I had to be on his time basically and at his comfort level and learn his comfort level. Yeah. And obviously me and him have developed that now over a year, right? We're high-fiving and fighting each other, right? Mm-hmm. But like it just was really hard to kind of get things going at first because I felt like just his discomfort, you know, he's not that kind of kid, like you said in the interview, you know, like he wouldn't even want us to be talking about him right now, but it's happening, right? Yep. Like, so yeah, that was a hard part of the project. So I had to bring him back and do another interview with them. And it just made the story that much better because you see not just his physical growth from looking like a 12-year-old to actually looking like he's his age now, mm-hmm. but his like growth overall, wrestling growth, physical part of it, and then his maturity shifted, you know, and it's cool to be able to see that all packaged in one little deal. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Tyler's always been a really good kid. He, even from a young age, you know, he's been the kind of kid that'll look you in the eye and yes, sir, no, sir. You know, just shows his respect. I think it shows his how his parents brought him up, and the whole family, Trent and Molly, they're all really great kids, and so. But Tyler's always been kind of quiet, right? I don't know if it must have been probably his junior year, maybe going into state, that he maybe said the first kind of non-wrestling comments to me, right?
After all these years,
yeah. So work well with him as a freshman. He doesn't qualify for state. Again, pretty small, so a little undersized. Sophomore, kind of a heartbreaker. Didn't qualify, but kid's always had all the talent and the ability in the world to do it. But it was like junior year, he finally, I don't remember what it was, but it was something that kind of took me off guard. I was like, are we having a conversation? Like, are you talking? All right, let's have a conversation. And it was short, but he is tough to open up, right? Yeah, and that's just kind of the way he is. He's a little quiet, a little reserved until he gets to know you, and then he's just
Then he's just a normal kid. Normal kid. Clowning around.
That's right.
Yeah, I found some of that finally. You know.
Yeah, it takes some time. But.
And it took getting out of the wrestling room to do that.
Yeah.
So that was a big shift in the documentary too, because I'm stressing. I'm the creator, right? So I'm like, I got to make this like this and this, and I'm used to being able to control all that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And from the get-go, because I can like be very animated and bring people their energy up and uplift them, and Tyler was just like very reserved and just shy kind of, and I'm blessed, and we're all blessed because of it. And we'll see when it comes out.
For sure, yeah.
So, do you want to see the trailer?
I'd love to see it.
Let's look at it.
All right.
What just happened?
I don't know.
Ready to do this thing?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Big move out of Harper, you know, but can't take away from the tournament that Harper just put together.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously super disappointed right now, but, you know, years from now he's going to look and say, man, I freaking upset the #1 seed and wrestled in the state finals.
Tell me about your goal of becoming a state champion.
Yeah, we'd go to the state tournament every year, or at least like the finals growing up, and I thought that was just such a cool environment, and I wanted to get to that point, get to there at some point. There's actually a picture my dad has of like me and my brother standing up at the top row watching the finals, and last year my dad showed me that before I wrestled there, which I thought was pretty cool. And especially after last year, that makes me want to just win that finals match even more and become a state champ.
getting second place, it's more hurtful. You know, I can't explain it any other way because it just hurts. You know, you lost in the finals where that goal is right in front of you, and you may not get another chance to get that goal because anything can happen any given day.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about wrestling in general too is like you don't have very much time to feel sorry for yourself, right? I mean, and he could have said, you know what, I didn't get what I came for, you know, for me, I'm done, right? But again, for him, it's like bigger goals.
Not in the sport of wrestling, you don't always get what you deserve. That's the tough part about it, and that's the tough thing about life. You know, you could work your tail off, and it might not always go your way. So,
What do you do? What do you do in those circumstances when you fall short?
Yeah, use it as fire, use it as fuel, like motivation for the next time that you have the chance to chase that goal. If you don't reach it the first time, that's good because you set a goal that you maybe you couldn't reach. I forgot who I was telling this to, but it's like kind of an analogy. You want to set your goal higher, so you want to set a goal that you obviously can't reach. That's gonna allow you to grow way more than setting a goal that you can reach, because you're gonna be going for something way higher. Like if I set a goal for myself to be a world champ, and if I'm only at a state placing level, I'm probably gonna win state rather than place at state. But if I set my goal to be a state champ, I'd probably only be where I'm supposed to be. Like you wanna set goals as high as possible so you can excel as far as possible, even if you don't reach them. So I think that if you don't reach your goals, that's not a bad thing, but you always want to chase them.
All right. Well, what you think?
Man, it gave me goosebumps, man. Just listening to it, it's pretty awesome. I mean, you do a great job putting it together. The visual storytelling of it, the audio, the soundtrack. I mean, it's all perfect. I know. I'm fired up. I want to see the rest of it. If it's not done, it's not done being told yet.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Which makes the story even cooler. You know. As your minds was seeing the images in there, and obviously the audio helps remember things.
Yeah.
Like, where's your mind at with it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was surreal watching it again because, you know, being there at the state finals and watching just the run he had, right? You open with the clip of the question like, hey, just explain what just happened. And he says, I don't know. Man, I mean, that semifinal match when he pinned Pearson, that was so big, but it was like there's a few guys in that entire auditorium that thought it could happen.
Yeah.
And he's one of them. I thought it could happen. Ryan, my brother, he was in the corner with me. We thought it could happen. Like, we knew there was a possibility, and we had a game plan, and he executed it. So watching that, and then immediately seeing the end of the Pierce match in the finals, and just kind of taking you back to remember. Ooh,
Yeah, remember how it
that one
felt?
stung.
Yeah.
That one stung. Like thinking, what else could we have done? Should we have done something different? Did we have too many eggs in one basket? You know, like what happened? Like how did we not prepare him better for that match? Maybe, you know. So you immediately, as a coach, turn it on yourself. Like, well, what could we have done differently? And because he does all the right things, you know, we know that. But
I've gotten to watch him at such a like reduced speed. Right, I can like drag my mouse across it and or my cursor across it, and you can see expressions and feelings, and that's how I tell the story. I look deep. I look deeper into the characters or the people that are in it. And just watching you at the state tournament, I can remember looking through my camera, and it's hard too because like real time is like just like you are in real time. I had emotions too. I just had to keep the camera still as I could.
Yeah,
still as I could. And that's hard too, as a filmmaker, being involved with the person, knowing them, you know, and rooting for them.
Yeah.
But just like, I can remember seeing you, and you're just like, you were observing everything around you. You were hyper aware of everything going on. Just, it was so much watching you guys, you know, step into the corner for him. You could just tell you guys were wearing a lot of that as well. You know,
Yeah, it was. I remember thinking, this is really cool. Like I've
Yeah.
never been on the stage on the state finals. You know, I've been there many times, but always sitting in the stands, right?
Yeah.
When Schmidt qualified and made it to the finals, you know, I wasn't in his corner. So it was like, oh man, there's an opportunity missed. But that's fine. You know, he took his coaches to the corner. Duncan was there and Schmitz was there, and Carter came up short on that one. But to be there, you know, and I think somebody even says it. You don't know. I think Moen said it. You don't know if you're going to be back, right? So I was one of those. I wanted to experience that myself, which was cool. Maybe a little selfish, but at the same time, you know, we're there too. So it was cool to look around and see everything. And then at the end, you know, there was a clip of Ryan and I talking to him in the tunnel, and
you didn't even know I was over there filming, did you?
No, but it was. I was thinking back to myself, like, what did I say? Like, what do you say? Really, you know, it's tough. It just brought back a bunch of emotions. You know, it's the excitement. You know, after winning that semifinal, the heartbreak after the finals, how close that headlock was. Like watching that again in the finals, like
that kid's Pierce's neck was broke.
That thing was so close, man. It just one hip one way. I don't know, you know, like it could have gone a different way, but
yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
100%.
Lots of emotions, so many emotions to relive and to rethink, and you know, I'm excited. Even just the trailer, it's such a good story that you've been telling. Just in the trailer, it's just so many emotions there and then hearing Tyler's thought on goals, you know, and how not achieving your goal isn't a bad thing. You know, it's just motivation for the next.
Yeah, he's learned. I mean, he's learned that. It's not like he's just like chipping some like motivational speech off from a book. You know, like he got those. He got that way, and you'll see that through the documentary too. Because, like I said, the first time I interviewed him, he's like 12-year-old. You know, his perspective was totally different than it is now, and it's been cool to be a part of that experience that you guys are sharing with him every day in the room and throughout the season and through an off season. It's just been really just a wonderful journey for me. As much as frustrated as I said at the beginning, it was like where the origin of this documentary started is something that happened from a spiritual standpoint that led into the ascension of it, the project. Yeah. So in all that collectively for me, and no matter what the end result of it is, it's still been a blessing to be a part of. So, that when I was running, when you guys were, I had to literally like get up and run to catch you guys coming through the tunnel. And I was planning on doing that anyways, whether it was a win or a loss. I was like, I got to get them leaving the arena, right?
Yeah.
And then I just knew it wasn't my time to be even close. So there was like these Tupperware containers were stacked up, and I kind of like slipped in there real quick and just set my camera down real low and just I looked at it from like I would if I was an observation post, and I just have a scope, right? And just like I'm watching and like documenting what's happening. And that was even that part was part of the show that nobody else got, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of motion back there in that tunnel because you got the guys waiting to go out. You got the guys that just got done. You got the guys that won. You got the guys that lost. You know,
And when we go see this at the theater, right?
Yeah. When.
I don't say if, I say when we do. That's one of the things I'm excited about, and that I can't wait to share with people. But I also want people, when they come to watch it, when they do get a ticket for it, that it's okay to like laugh and like enjoy it, because this documentary is emotional, and it's okay. I can tell you, I'll be honest, you know, like I've sat here editing this episode and had a tear or two, you know, and it's just because it's happy. It's not from a negative, sad place. It's more just like you're just there and you're present and you're feeling things that you know you've experienced, and you can feel what that person's going through, whether that be Tyler himself or other people that are speaking in the documentary. Because we got you in there, we got Coach Brown in there, we got TJ Moen in there, Dustin Harper is in there, and then just an assortment of young people and people that are surrounded in Tyler's life that people may or may not know.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotion in it already. And so it's cool. It's neat.
And there's lots of laughter too.
Yeah.
Like you've seen just the trailer, right?
Yeah.
And the preview. And that's something we were talking about with counseling, right? I talk to people about don't be paying attention to the preview, right?
Yeah.
The movie's yet to come, right? So with intention, I got your heart.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So,
for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. We're looking at like a March release.
Awesome.
So, and that's for everybody else out there that's following this project. We will do a theater premiere, but then after that, we're going to cut it out to the world and let you guys have it, and so you guys can view it and watch it and share it and pass it on to everybody else.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, the story is yet to unfold. I've been kind of following Tyler a little bit this year, just a couple of matches, like you said, the Keith Young and Battle of Waterloo. That was fun to be at. It's been just a blessing and a fun thing. This made this year a lot more enjoyable. But yet we still got the rest of the season to go. So heading in, we got the snow issue going on, but we got some big tournaments coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Ankeny coming up this weekend. There's a lot of good teams there. Got a team out of Nebraska. I think Council Bluffs, Louis Central comes over. They're a district opponent for us. Ankeny's a district opponent for us. So we'll see them. Waverly Shamrocks there. A bunch of other schools. Indianola, I think, is there as well. They got a heck of a squad going on right now. So a lot of competition on Saturday at Ankeny. I really like that tournament. Not just because of that competition, but also they run a JV tournament right alongside of it. So for all of our JV ones get to go, and it really talks about building our team atmosphere. Like those are our next guys in line to take over, right? Tyler's a senior. There's somebody else who's gonna have to wrestle 113 next year.
Mm-hmm.
We got Tate Turner's a senior. Somebody else is gonna have to wrestle 138 next year.
Yeah.
So that's a good opportunity to get all those guys in the same gym. And for some of those JV guys that maybe don't see how these varsity guys operate in a tournament, I think it's a great opportunity for them to kind of see, like, how do you get yourself up and ready to go for match number 2 after you've been sitting for, an hour and a half. So I really enjoy that Ankeny tournament. We got Ed Winger in Urbandale coming up here in a few weeks.
Yeah. That'll
be a big one.
I'll be filming at that one.
That'll be good.
Yeah, I'll do another one of the Access Granted shows there.
Nice. Yeah, love those Access Granted ones. That's cool. It helps that we got a Norwalk guy on the film, and so we get quite a few Norwalk highlights in there too.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's good. But yeah, we got some big competitions coming up. Like you said earlier, we're 14th in the dual rankings. That's our team's goal, is to be in that top 8. So we gotta compete and beat some of these top teams to get that, to earn that spot. And if we don't earn it, then we got to go knock somebody off when we go to regional finals or regional duels. And that's our goal, is to qualify for state duels and be in that tournament. We were there once. We want to be back. So
yeah,
it's pretty
for sure.
exciting.
And you were talking about bringing the JV kids, getting them to know that they're going to have to be filling some slots next year. And I think that's important to have continuity. When I think of like Penn State, Iowa, I think about continuity. I think they're like thinking years ahead of the road. Like, we got to get this guy so that way we'll sit on him for a little bit and prep him, get him ready, and then we're going to bring him in. So, and I know high school, you got 4 years with them, just like you would in college. So how does the Warriors go about maintaining, that continuity and successful winning seasons?
Yeah, I think a lot of it falls into our off season. So when we break at the end of the year and we have our banquet, Brown is prepared with, here's our summer schedule. Here's what we're going to do. Here's, I think last year it was with Moen. This year it might be Moen. It could be Immortal. It could be, Immortal is now a new club that's operating out of Simpson Wrestling Room. So it's figure out where the best room is for our kids. And it's not just taking our 8 varsity guys that are coming back, or our 10 varsity guys coming back. It's everybody that if they have a goal that they want to achieve, we make it loud and clear that we'll help you out. We'll do what we can, but it's up to you too. Like, we're very limited in what contact we can have in the off season as coaches and as coaching staff, but we can provide opportunities. And so it's up to the kids still then to take hold of those opportunities. And it's up to the leaders, those guys like Tyler and like Liam McLaughlin. He's one that stepped in and really taken the opportunity Tigner, Bartreen Johnsons, some of those guys that are in football, there's still opportunities for them to get better in wrestling in the off season. And so present those opportunities to those kids. The Stolo family has this Hawkeye bus. So we're blessed. They let us operate that bus, and so they can carpool. We can take 10, 15 kids down to a practice twice a week. Kids that might not otherwise go because they don't have a ride. Mom and dad can't give them a ride down to Simpson for 2-hour practice and back. That's a lot for some families. And so having that opportunity, and I think that also builds that camaraderie when you have, especially freshmen and sophomores that otherwise wouldn't be able to get to those practices and put in that time in the off season together as a squad. When you walk in to a mowing practice or a club practice and you got 15 guys or 17 guys from your team that all show up, and there's other clubs or other teams that have 4 or 5 guys, that helps. I think it helps bring them together, and they go through that in the off season. It's just like going through practices during season. They become more of a team, I think, and sometimes we stop and get ice cream on the way home, and that's fun too. So a little bit more bonding.
Yeah. So I want to say, to my listeners out there is like, thank you to the parents too for your guys' support. It's meaningful, and there's a lot of value to get from their athletics, especially at Norwalk. I know those guys. I know you guys all personally, and I wouldn't suggest your kid to be any. I wish everybody would go out for wrestling. To be honest with you, it's like kind of like you think about the military, right? Like, how beneficial would it be for people and their growth if they did a year in the military? They went through that basic training where they kind of get revamped, and they get their butt whooped a little bit, and then they get some structure, and then they get a little bit of training, and then, then they get to go home, and then I think it would help shift a lot of young men. And I think wrestling is one of those things opportunities that young people can get, boys and girls can get at that age, to kind of help them shift into maturity. Yeah. Because there's always good coaches in the room too, like mentors and teachers. We need better teachers in this world.
Yeah. You talk about that, and I think to the opportunities I've had this year helping out with, like I said, my son Braden's kindergarten little kid super peewee group, right?
Yeah.
In the Norwalk Wrestling Club, and just at the end of those practices, what do we tell these kids is like, thank your parents. Thank your parents or whoever brought you here, whether it's grandma and grandpa, aunt and uncle, mom and dad, brother, sister, whoever it was that brought you here today. Make sure you thank them for bringing you here, because you're going to do tough things if you keep coming back and doing this. And I think it makes them, I think it makes it better. Like you mentioned, like better kids just for an hour, and for our little guys, it's like 45 minutes. But for 45 minutes, I need you to focus on one thing, and that's wrestling, right? We're not going to goof off and play slap butt or whatnot. You need to pay attention, listen to me when I'm talking, like have a little bit of discipline for 45 minutes. And that's not bad for those kids. I think it's good. I think it's a valuable lesson, right? And gosh, you mentioned about teachers, man. I thank them every day. Every time I get a chance, thank them for doing their job, because it's tough. I only have them for 45 minutes out of once a week, and
they have them for hours.
They have them for hours all day.
Different groups each hour.
Exactly. It can be rough, I'm sure.
One of the lessons that adults hope to strengthen, I believe, is resiliency.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, these little kids are coming in, and they're thanking their parents for something hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really honestly like the first lesson of resiliency. It's like, I can choose not to come back, but like I'm choosing to go back to go do something difficult.
Yep.
It'd be different if they were like, let's go paint, get some finger paint out and play around on the paper. That would be fun. Right.
Mm-hmm. But
they're going to do something. They're going to be running. They're going to get a little bit of some vocal auditory in the room, right? They're going to sweat. They could get bumped up, but I love that. I love that growth and resiliency.
Yeah, that resiliency is something that's important, and we're going through that with my son Braden. He hasn't had a lot of success wrestling, and just like many other kindergartners, won a couple matches, but the tournaments he's gone to, he hasn't won. And he's seen that that's a challenge, and he doesn't, he's struggling with, do I want to keep doing this? I keep losing, Dad. And so you look at it two different ways. One is he cares, right? Which is good, right? I want him to be successful too, but quitting because you lost is not the right answer either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't, force my 6-year-old that you have to go to these tournaments. I don't want to be that dad either. So trying to make it his own idea and trying to help him see that it's okay to lose a match. It's okay to not win in a tournament. I told him when I was a kid, I won one tournament ever.
Yeah.
Ever as a wrestler. That was my very first one, Norwalk Youth Wrestling Tournament. I won it, and I don't think I won another tournament since. High school, college, but it's the not how many times you fall down, how many times you get back up, right? So like that's trying to teach him that at 6, and it's hard because he's like, that's all right, I don't want to do it. But keep him in the room, try to figure it out, and keep making it fun still. To know that your friends are out there doing it. Let's stick with them. Like they want you to be there, so let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I got I'm trying to locate I've been trying to locate these pictures for a while. I know that they exist. My mom, when she took me to my first wrestling tournament, when we got the pictures back, right? Because back then you had to, take it to the developer and get them developed, right? They're all on my back. Like, there wasn't one picture, not even in my stance or anything. It was like every picture, I'm just like looking up into the camera, just getting murked.
Help me.
Yeah. And that brings another thing to my mind is I told when Mitchell was here, when Coach Mitchell was here, me and him competed a lot against each other when we were young. But that was my first tournament, was against, the bracket was Todd Buckland. He got first. Nick Mitchell got second. Scott Rourke got third, and I got last. But that dynamic, those folks there, I got connections to all those guys still. This today.
It's funny how wrestling does that, right? And how many connections you have. You mentioned Nick Mitchell. He was a Wartburg guy, and he was a senior when I was a freshman, I think, junior, senior when I was a freshman, and so I wrestled with him for a couple of years, and he coached for a couple of years. Paul Reedy on that staff was a guy, when he came on his recruiting visit, I hosted him that night, and then was a teammate with him for a few years. So yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. And you were coaching across from Scott from East High School coach.
Yeah.
You were coaching across from him the other night.
Yep. Yeah, he was there. Yep.
And he got silenced. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was an
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he was trying to get a clarification and got told to sit down and shut up.
Maybe he didn't use the right choice of words. I don't know. He looked pretty calm to me.
Yeah. I don't know what all transpired, but
me and Scott Turner was up there making words up. I was like, I'll be Scott, you be the ref.
I'm sure there were some good exchanges there.
Yeah, he's having a good time. 9 times out of 10, especially this year, I'm clowning. I'm having a good time in the crowd.
Good.
I've only had one bad moment.
Just one.
Battle of Waterloo.
Uh-huh.
Hey, they said it was a battle at Waterloo. I was going to go to the battle.
You were there for battle. Uh-huh. Stands on the mat, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's my one. I get one. One this year. Man, it's been a joy having you on the show.
Thanks.
I will take you back here. We'll go back in the studio, and I'll show you a couple more clips of the documentary. But it's been great having you on. It's been great knowing you as a person, as a man, and coaching next to you too, and helping guide these kids in the right direction and give them somebody to look up to and somebody to look beside next to. So I appreciate you coming on the show, Eric Thompson.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.